Okay. Um, so I had an exciting week. Um, I I developed pneumonia, or 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, I developed. I invited a friend over for a pizza party, or we had several friends over. My wife makes pizza on Friday nights, and so we had a big pizza party. And this one friend came over with a cold, and I caught this cold from him. Um, and because I have a um, section of my spinal cord at D4, my breathing isn't proper. I can't take deep breaths, so I'm susceptible to pneumonia. Developed pneumonia, and that went into congestive heart failure, and I ended up in emergency and in the hospital for a week. So, luckily, UH knows how to cure people of these things, and I'm back and, and with you. Um, I, Maybe I should go over a little bit why I'm in a wheelchair in the first place. I've been in a wheelchair now for about 11 years, and 11 years ago, I had a, I woke up in the morning and started preparing for my lecture, and felt this heart pain, and decided, well, maybe I usually work on my lectures at home, and so I thought maybe I should get closer to a hospital. So I decided to go to my office, and I thought it would be safer not to bike to school, which I normally did, but walk to school. So I made it to my office, and around lunchtime, I was still having a really bad pains in my heart, and told the secretary to let the students know that I won't be there, and walk to emergency. And so for the next 6 hours, I was lying in emergency, and they were trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And they were taking all kinds of blood tests. And they didn't know, but what I was having was called a dissecting aorta. The aorta sort of tears apart, and blood spills into your chest cavity. And as it tears apart, there's little capillaries that feed the spinal cord, and they pop one by one. And my spinal cord ran out of oxygen. At the 6 hour mark, they thought, well, this is something serious now. And they took a CAT scan and saw what the problem was, and rushed me into surgery. And I came to, I think about 2 or 3 weeks later, they induced me into a coma afterwards. And first when I first came to, I had trouble even recognizing my own children. Like everyone had been staying in the hospital for those 2 weeks, and wondering when I was going to become conscious again. And so I, eventually recovered, could recognize them. One of the problems was I couldn't recognize an analog watch, so I would look at an analog watch and couldn't figure out from the arrows what time it was. I could read the digital watch, no trouble, but not an analog watch. And I had a suspicion that this was a problem with the LOC. And I was really eager for them to let me get to my magnet down at Robarts. I figured I could get there in my hospital bed and get myself into a magnet and see what's going on. But they wouldn't let me. And within a couple of weeks, the clock problem disappeared. It's a amazing system, the brain, how it's adaptable and can recover from all kinds of things, insults. The one thing that hasn't recovered is one of the problems that you have in V1 is if you have a lesion in V1 in the posterior part of V1, and that's where I have a lesion on the right side, and so just off the fovea is a scotoma in both eyes, and it took me a while to figure out how to read, because you can't, when you try to read the next word, it disappears when you put your fovea on it. You know, you can't see the next word, so it's hard to learn to read. Relearn to read. Um, but I recovered and I started teaching physiology again, and apparently did well because the next year after my um, lesion, I got the highest ratings I ever got and won 2 teaching awards. So, I think probably it's because I've slowed down a lot since before this all happened, and slowing down is a good idea for teaching. So that's why I'm in the wheelchair, and but I'm very happy to be here because I enjoy teaching, and I enjoy the interaction with this classroom.